Would you believe we're actually not yet done with implementing comparisons on calorie count? Because there's one other thing. I mentioned earlier that there's an old non-generic IComparable interface. That interface is for the most part not really used any longer, but it's possible some other code might be around that needs it. Since calorie count has public visibility, I don't know what other code might need to consume it, so I'll implement the non-generic interface too, just in case. So I will declare we are implementing this interface and ask Visual Studio to implement it for me. There is one method, compareTo, which is exactly analogous to the IComparable of tCompareTo method, except that this one is not type safe and takes an object as a parameter. Let's paste in a decent implementation. This code is a little different from what you've seen before. Since the argument is of type object, we need to make sure that it really is a calorie count. If I compare the method with the object.equals overload, if the argument failed the type checking in object.equals, we returned false, because the convention is that instances are never equal to null or to instances of different types. However, here I'm actually throwing an exception, an argument null exception if the argument was null, or an argument exception if the argument was the wrong type. And that's because there's nothing you can sensibly return for a comparison with a value type in these cases. A null value, by the way, would be fine for comparing with a reference type, but not a value type. So the convention is to throw an exception. And that's our implementation of comparison functionality finally complete. And if I just scroll, look at that. We've added 6 operators and 5 methods to a type that has only one field. So you can see adding comparison and equality support even to a simple value type is actually quite a significant undertaking to do correctly. And this was just for a value type as well. Imagine the complications if calorie count had been a non-sealed reference type.